Since the war in Iran began, one of the busiest flight corridors in the world has been shutting down, forcing airlines to reroute flights across the globe. Airlines have to avoid partial airspace restrictions in Syria, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Kuwait. But the biggest restriction lies in Iran, where the entire airspace is currently shut down, meaning all civil and commercial flights are being rerouted. Flights that would normally cross central Iran now have to detour south or north. Dubai itself is still operating as a hub, but airlines now have to take much longer flights through safe corridors to get there. Flights that used to be 6 hours are now taking 8 or 9. These longer flights are also causing airlines to burn way more fuel than usual. Since fuel is airlines' largest operating cost, this will usually get passed on to the passenger, resulting in higher ticket prices. But let's go over the flights affected the most, with some having added hours to the flight time by detours. The flights that are affected the most are the ones from Europe to South Asia or India. These flights normally cross Iran and parts of Iraq, now restricted due to the war. The impact is planes now detour north via Turkey and Central Asia, or south via Saudi Arabia and Oman. Flight time usually increases by 1 to 3 hours, with some airlines even canceling flights altogether. If we look at individual examples, you can see London to India is extremely affected. Take a look at this Air India flight from London to Delhi. Instead of taking a straight shot there, it detours south of the Middle East, avoiding Iran and Iraq, instead traveling through Saudi Arabia and Oman. In short, flights between Europe and India that used to take around 9 hours are now taking about 1.5 to 2 hours extra, because they have to fly around restricted airspace instead of the straight path over Iran. Going even farther, you have flights from Europe to South Asia, like this one from Paris to Kuala Lumpur. Before the conflict, planes would fly almost directly over the Middle East, passing through Turkey, Iran, the Persian Gulf, India, and straight to Malaysia. That route took about 12 hours non-stop. Now, with Iranian airspace closure and neighboring regions restricted, airlines can't take that straight path anymore. Most flights are forced to take either a northern detour through Central Asia or a southern path via Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Oman. Both options add significant time in the air, usually around 1.5 to 3 extra hours. That may not sound huge, but for passengers it means more fatigue, longer meals and rest schedules, and as we mentioned earlier, a bigger ticket price. Airlines often pass on the extra fuel and operational costs. And it's not just the flight itself. These longer corridors are more congested, which can lead to minor delays, especially during peak travel times. Even flights that stop at major hubs like Frankfurt or Amsterdam are affected, because planes now have to avoid the restricted zones entirely. Even flights to major Gulf hubs like Dubai, Doha, or Abu Dhabi are affected. Airlines can't take the usual straight paths over Iran or nearby regions, so planes now approach the hubs via slightly northern or southern corridors that adds up to 30 to 90 minutes to flight times. These longer approaches increase fuel costs, which again, airlines often pass on through their higher ticket prices. For passengers connecting onward to Asia or Africa, it can also mean minor delays. Gulf hubs remain open, but the way planes get there has completely changed. When we look at flights from North America to Oceania, like New York to Sydney, Toronto to Melbourne, or Los Angeles to Auckland, the story is a bit different than Europe to South Asia. Direct trans-Pacific flights such as Los Angeles to Sydney or San Francisco to Auckland are mostly unaffected by the conflict. Planes flying straight across the Pacific don't have to worry about the restricted airspace over Iran or Iraq. But for passengers connecting through Europe or the Middle East hubs, the impact is real. Take a flight like Toronto, Dubai to Sydney. Normally the Toronto-Dubai leg takes 12 to 13 hours and the Dubai-Sydney leg takes around 14 hours. With airspace closures and rerouted approaches at Gulf hubs, airlines have had to adjust paths, leading to an extra 1 to 2 hours on the Dubai to Sydney leg. That adds up to longer total travel time and more fatigue for passengers. Similarly, flights from New York connecting via London or Frankfurt to Oceania, like JFK to London to Melbourne, may see slight schedule delays. The London to Middle East leg now avoids restricted airspace, adding 30 to 90 minutes, which can ripple through the rest of the journey. Airlines operating these routes include Emirates, Qatar Airways, and Etihad, and they are carefully managing reroutes and congestions at their hubs. Passengers may notice higher ticket prices not because the Pacific itself is longer, but because of the extra fuel burn, longer operating times, and busier airports. Even though the direct Pacific routes aren't blocked, the indirect effects of the conflict are felt worldwide. Connecting passengers face longer flights, tighter schedules, and higher costs, showing how interconnected global air travel really is. Air travel around the world is changing because of restricted airspace over Iran and the Middle East. Flights are longer, ticket prices are higher, and connecting hubs are more crowded than ever. Even routes across oceans are completely safe. The ripple effects are felt everywhere. Global aviation is adapting, but passengers are feeling the impact in time, cost, and comfort.